Wembanyama against Keegan Murray. Got the fadeaway to go. Wembanyama the alley-oop. Oh! The finish from Castle.
The Wemby era officially began the moment he won Rookie of the Year last season. And now that the LeBron era is winding down, the new kid around the block is arguably the best talent in the league that can take up that mantle. Since the start of last season, no player has logged more career games with multiple blocks than Victor Wembanyama, who has also swatted at least 3 shots in almost every game he's played this season. For a young Spurs team, what Wemby is doing is really special. At some point this season, he has posted more blocks than Anthony Davis and Draymond Green combined despite missing 3 games due to injury. His career-high 50 points against the Washington Wizards was nothing short of remarkable. When you combine all these stats, barring anything crazy happening, Wemby is practically a shoo-in for Defensive Player of the Year. But the question is, why are people not seriously putting him in the NBA MVP conversation? Is he too young or not good enough? This kid is a monster defensively, but his attack is just as devastating too, so why not? Before we dive into the details, take a second to hit that subscribe button and drop us a like. It's a small action that makes a huge difference.
There's another one.
Thought about it, now he takes it. Victor Wembanyama!
Now before we can fully unpack why Wemby deserves a serious MVP nod, let's rewind to where it all started. His rookie season and how his game has evolved since. Leading up to the 2023 NBA draft, Wembanyama was the most talked about prospect in basketball since LeBron James. The hype was insane, but Wemby didn't let it get to his head. His raw talent was obvious, but it was his relentless drive to improve that made his debut season unforgettable. For fans who had been following him for a while, his explosive rookie year wasn't just impressive, it was expected. Standing at 7'4" with the agility of a guard and a wingspan that seems to stretch forever, Wemby was just 19 years old when he got drafted, and the San Antonio Spurs made him their #1 pick. Even though the hype was crazy, Wemby always kept it cool. All he wanted to do was to ball out and show the world what he could do with a ball in his hands, and that's exactly what he did. From highlight reel blocks to mind-blowing offensive plays, Wemby's rookie season was an unforgettable one for him and Spurs fans, and even though it was filled with a lot of highs and lows, Wemby created a lot of memorable moments and incredible performances that showed the NBA he's the real deal. Despite adding the 7'4" giant to their roster, the San Antonio Spurs wrapped up the 2023-24 campaign 14th in the West and with the same 22-60 record they had the previous season. But let's be real, no one expected that Spurs squad to contend for a title. They're still a work in progress and far from being a championship caliber team. One thing was crystal clear though. Everything this franchise wants to achieve hinges on their rising superstar, Victor Wembanyama. The team's league position didn't stop Wemby from getting the recognition he deserved. He won the Rookie of the Year award, becoming the 6th player in NBA history to do so with a unanimous vote. For someone who just got into the big leagues, Wemby's defensive skills were through the roof, which is why he was a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year and the first rookie to make the NBA All-Defensive First Team. Everything he accomplished is almost unheard of for a rookie. But Wemby wasn't satisfied. Sure, he racked up milestones, but his personal standards are on a whole different level. The rookie quickly set his sights on the league's ultimate honor, becoming the undisputed MVP. For that to happen though, he and the Spurs would need to go beyond individual accolades and start chasing an NBA title. Easier said than done, right? Especially in a league dominated by the likes of Nikola Jokic, who seems to dismantle opponents with ease. After a tough rookie season, the Spurs entered the new campaign with a clear target, securing a playoff spot in the Western Conference. But let's face it, that's a tall order. The West is stacked with talent and the competition is fierce. While Wemby is a generational player, the Spurs are young and lack postseason experience. That's where things get tricky. To be very competitive, they need to find a way to close out tight games better if they want to have any shot at the title. This is probably why Spurs made the move to sign 19-year-old veteran and 12-time All-Star Chris Paul this offseason. A lot of fans were skeptical of this move, especially considering that at 39 years old, Chris Paul isn't exactly in his prime. But the Spurs weren't looking for his stat line, they needed his leadership. The hope is that CP3's veteran presence will help accelerate Wemby's growth as a player. So far, the results have been a mixed bag for San Antonio. But hey, even teams with MVP caliber stars like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, and Nikola Jokic have had their fair share of ups and downs this season. The difference? Fans still trust those guys to lead their teams out of a slump. For Wemby and the Spurs, the skepticism is a lot stronger, and honestly, it's not unwarranted. With a roster this inexperienced and young, it's fair to question their ability to make a deep run. But what if everyone's wrong? What if Wemby and this young Spurs team are on the verge of surprising us all? Sure, it might feel like a stretch now, but we've got some solid reasons to believe in this kid's potential, and we're about to break it all down for you. So, what makes Wemby a legit MVP contender? Let's start with his defense, because what he's doing out there is nothing short of a masterpiece. This guy isn't just blocking shots, he's rewriting the art of rim protection. Wemby is leading the league in blocks per game, swatting away attempts from top-tier players like Anthony Davis and Draymond Green. At one point this season, his 51 blocks were more than Davis and Green combined, and that's despite missing a couple of games due to injury. But it's not just about the numbers, it's the presence. Opponents hesitate to even drive to the rim when they know he's lurking. It's like having a cheat code on defense, a 7'4" force field that makes you rethink your entire offensive strategy. And here's the kicker. Wemby's brilliance doesn't end on the defensive end. His offensive game is just as terrifying. This kid is averaging over 20 points per game, and his bag of tricks is deeper than most seasoned vets. His jumper? Silky smooth. His post moves? Absolutely lethal. And don't even get us started on his three-point shooting. Watching someone his size nail step-back threes is like watching basketball in an alternate reality. His basketball IQ is undoubtedly higher than most, and the incredible 50 points he managed against the Wizards is a perfect reminder. Wemby is a complete player. The wildest part? He's pulling this off while leading a young, still developing Spurs team learning how to win. That's the kind of leadership that makes MVP voters take notice. To really appreciate why Wemby deserves MVP recognition, you have to look at the history books. Take a moment to think about some of the youngest MVP winners in NBA history. Derrick Rose at 22, Wes Unseld at 23. These guys didn't just put up big numbers, they changed the way their teams played. That's exactly what Wemby is doing for the Spurs right now. If you need a Spurs reference, look no further than Tim Duncan's early career. Duncan won MVP twice, and his ability to dominate both ends of the floor was pivotal. Wemby's showing those same traits, impacting games on defense while delivering clutch performances offensively. The key difference? Wemby's skill set is even more versatile. He's not just dominating the paint, he's hitting threes, handling the ball like a guard, and making plays you don't expect from someone his size. When you compare Wemby's trajectory to that of Giannis or Jokic, it's clear he's ahead of the curve. Both those MVP greats needed years to develop into the dominant forces they are today. Wemby, on the other hand, is making that leap in just his second year. That kind of rapid progression is incredibly rare and exactly why he deserves to be in the MVP conversation right now, not years down the line. Even if Wemby doesn't clinch the MVP this season, his performance trajectory speaks volumes, and he should make that exclusive list. After winning Rookie of the Year last season, snagging the Defensive Player of the Year title from four-time winner Rudy Gobert would mark another massive step forward. Of course, he'll have fierce competition from Draymond Green and OG Anunoby, but let's be real, this title feels like it's his to lose at this point. And while Wemby may not be close to securing his first championship ring yet, many believe it's only a matter of time. Predictions suggest he could rack up at least 2 or more rings during his career. Wemby's belief that an MVP award is a solid measure of success isn't far off either. Only 9 players in NBA history have claimed 3 or more MVP titles, and there's a growing sentiment that Wemby could join or even surpass that elite club. But the question remains, can he reach this level of greatness with the Spurs? Historically, some of San Antonio's greatest players spent their entire careers there, racking up an impressive collection of trophies. Hall of Famers like David Robinson, Tim Duncan, and Manu Ginobili stayed loyal to the franchise, while others, such as Kawhi Leonard and Tony Parker, eventually moved on after achieving success under Greg Popovich. Which path Wemby will take is still unclear, but several key factors will influence his future in Texas. One major consideration is the longevity of Greg Popovich's coaching career. How long will he continue to guide the team? And perhaps even more importantly, how will the Spurs front office build around their budding superstar to help him achieve the greatness his talent demands? While we don't have all the answers just yet, one thing is certain. Victor Wembanyama is the real deal. His journey toward MVP contention feels inevitable. It's just a matter of time. So, what do you think about Wemby's rise? Do you see him becoming a legitimate MVP contender sooner rather than later? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And since you've made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more engaging basketball content. See you next time.